Get in using 3 points of contact. Seat belt. All my mounts are properly mounted and secured. My seat belt buckles. It unbuckles. I have no damage, frayed, or loose fibers. Mr. Examiner, I will now do my safe start. Put your foot on the brake. Make sure your truck's in neutral, your brakes are applied. Turn the key to electrical on position. Gauge sweep left to right. ABS light comes on, ABS light goes off. Start the engine. Safety gear. I have a properly charged and secured fire extinguisher. I have 3 reflective triangles, and my spare fuses are located in my glove box. I have a driver's side and passenger side mirror. They are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. They are not missing, and they are properly adjusted. Windshield is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. It is clean, and nothing is blocking my view. Windshield seal goes up the sides, across the top, down the sides, down the bottom. It is properly mounted and secured, no abrasions, bumps, or cuts, and it is not leaking. Windshield wipers and fluid. They are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. Nothing is missing, and they make full contact with my windshield, and they operate properly, meaning they work and squirt. Defroster and heater, you put defroster and floor heat. Turn the heat on. You should have air coming at the top, air coming at the bottom. My city horn, air horn. I have lights, headlights, clearance lights, 4-way flashers, right turn signal, left turn signal, high beams, brake lights. I have a water gauge. It is in the normal operating range and is working properly. I have an oil gauge. It's in the normal operating range and working properly. I have a voltage gauge. It is in the normal operating range and working properly. I have a fuel gauge. It is in the normal operating range and working properly. I have a depth gauge. It is in normal operating range and working properly. My primary and secondary air tank. They are either filling or they are full, between 120 and 140 psi, at which point the air governor will cut off. I will now set up for my 3 brake tests. I'll make sure my truck's in neutral, my brakes are applied. I will turn the key off. Without taking my hand off the key, I will turn the key back to electrical on position. Put your foot on the brake. Put the truck in drive. And release your tractor and trailer brakes. You are now properly set up to do your first 3 brake tests. My first brake test is my applied brake test. I will hold my brake pedal down for 1 minute, and I should lose no more than 4 psi during that 1 minute. Mr. Examiner, will you please time me? Tell me when to begin.
Let me know when you want to start, please.
I would like to start.
Go ahead.
Mr. Examiner, I did not lose more than 4 psi during my 1 minute. I will now move on to my low pressure test. I will pump my brakes down to 55 psi, at which point my air light and buzzer will come on, indicating I have low pressure. Mr. Examiner, my air light and buzzer came on. I will now do my emergency activation test. I will pump my brakes down between 20 and 40 psi, at which point my tractor and trailer brakes will pop out. Mr. Examiner, my tractor and trailer brakes have popped out. I will now do another safe start to build my air pressure back up between 120 and 140 psi. Put your foot on the brake, put the truck back in neutral. Turn the key off. Turn the key back to electrical on position. Gauge sweep left to right. ABS light comes on, ABS light comes off. Make sure your foot's on the brake, start the engine back up. Build your air pressure back up between 120 and 140 psi. Mr. Examiner, my air pressure is now between 120 and 140 psi. I will now do my last 3 brake tests. My first brake test is a trailer tug test. I'll put my foot on the brake, vehicle and drive. I will release my tractor brake to tug against my trailer brakes. Mr. Examiner, my trailer brakes are working properly. Vehicle back in neutral, pull your tractor brake out. My next brake test is my tractor tug test. I'll put my foot on the brake, put the vehicle in drive. I will release my trailer brakes and tug against my tractor brakes. Mr. Examiner, my tractor brakes are working properly. My last brake test is my service brake test. I will push in my tractor and trailer brakes and pull forward at approximately 5 miles an hour without my hands on the steering wheel, and I will hit my brake pedal. If my steering wheel jerks violently to the left or to the right, it indicates brake damage. I will do that now. Mr. Examiner, my service brakes are working properly. Pull the brakes back out, put it back in neutral. Mr. Examiner, this concludes my in-cab inspection and brake test.